mechanics had given up. The engine was dead. Then a 10-year-old girl in muddy boots walked in and said 9 words that changed everything. Comment below. Has a child ever surprised you with something truly unbelievable? Dust hangs in the air like smoke, shimmering in the brutal sun. The engine's cough had long gone quiet, replaced by a chorus of sighs and shuffling boots. A line of mechanics stand around the military Humvee, each wearing the same expression. Frustrated, defeated, the hoods propped up, revealing a tangled heart of steel and confusion. Tools clatter. Sweat drips. One man pulls off his gloves with a snap and tosses them into the dirt. I've checked every relay. Nothing, he mutters. Fuel pumps clear. Batteries solid. Alternators good. They talk like machines themselves, precise, tired, robotic. Beside them, a man in desert camo leans against the side of the vehicle, arms folded tight. His face is calm, unreadable. Jack Maddox, late 30s, war-hardened. Retired Navy SEAL. His sunglasses reflect the wrecked machine, but his eyes are elsewhere. He's watching nothing in particular, just waiting. The others glance at him now and then. They know who he is, or at least think they do. Rumors travel fast on bases like this. Hero, ghost, legend. But today, he's just a man with a broken vehicle and no patience left. Then something shifts. Footsteps. Small, soft, out of place. A faint SHFD, SHFFD of boots scraping against gravel. Not hurried, not hesitant, just steady. Heads turn. A girl, maybe 10, emerges from between the supply crates stacked along the fence. Her coveralls are too big for her, cinched at the waist with what looks like an old bungee cord. Her sleeves are rolled up, barely. Her boots are mud-caked and heavy, making her walk look like a march. Strapped across her back is a tool belt that's clearly seen more years than she has. Patched, frayed, with a screwdriver poking out the top like a flagpole. She stops 5 feet from Humvee. The wind kicks up a veil of dust, swirling around her ankles and making her hair flutter across her face. No one says anything. Not yet. The mechanics exchange glances. Some raise eyebrows. One lets out a chuckle under his breath. Kid, this ain't a lemonade stand, someone mutters. She doesn't blink. Jack shifts slightly, not looking at her yet, but aware now, like a sixth sense. She's not supposed to be here. That's clear. But she's not moving, either. She steps forward. 2 more strides, and now she's at the front of the Humvee, staring into the open engine bay. Her eyes scan it like she's seen 100 times in her dreams. Her hands stay at her sides. She doesn't reach, doesn't touch, just observes. Another mechanic scoffs, louder this time. Sweetheart, unless you're carrying a magic wrench. Then she speaks. Her voice is calm, steady, almost too quiet. Your injection control pressure sensors cycling irregular. Check your IPR valve spool. The silence is immediate. Not the awkward kind, something heavier, like the moment just before a fuse catches flame. The youngest mechanic frowns. What? The pressure sensor's out of sync. The IPR valve stuck in partial open. You're getting signal interference. It's not electrical. It's hydraulic. She finally looks at him. It's not the wires. It's the response timing. Everyone stares. One of the older techs squints at her. How do you know that? She shrugs. The idle stutter before shut off. It was delayed. That means the valve spool's not returning clean. Jack turns to look at her fully now. Finally, his jaw tightens just slightly. His eyes narrow but not unkindly. The youngest mechanic leans over the engine again, suddenly unsure. Another one pulls out a scanner and plugs it into the diagnostic port. The girl steps back, folding her arms. She doesn't seem nervous. She doesn't seem proud, either. Just certain. Jack takes a few steps forward and leans in, watches the scan numbers appear on the small display. The readings jump once. Then again. She's right, the tech mutters. It's the IPR. Another silence. This one is longer. The girl turns to leave, like this was never a moment worth staying for. Her boots crunch on the gravel. Her tool belt jangles lightly with each step. No celebration. No smirk. She just walks the same way she came, quiet and unnoticed. Except now, all eyes are on her. One mechanic mutters, "Who the hell is that kid?" Another shakes his head. She said, "IPR spool," like she was born with a torque wrench in her hand. Jack watches her go. His expression hasn't changed, but something's moving behind his eyes now, like a memory trying to surface. As she disappears around the crates, he turns back to the engine, his voice low. "Pull the valve. Run the reset cycle. Prime the oil. Then try it again." They nod and get to work. But Jack's not watching the engine anymore. His eyes are still on the path the girl walked. Something about her didn't feel random. She didn't just guess. She knew. That's what bothers him most. Not the fact that she was right, but that she was so calm about it, like she's been ignored before. His eyes narrow just slightly as he leans back against a Humvee. And somewhere just out of sight, a 10-year-old girl crouches behind a crate, peeking around the edge, watching them pull the part she named, listening to the engine roar back to life. She doesn't smile. She just closes her notebook, scribbles with diagrams, and tucks it into her pocket. Then she vanishes. A wrench clinks against metal. Then another. The engine bay is now a flurry of motion. Mechanics who have been frozen just a moment ago are suddenly moving fast, following instructions they didn't expect to hear from a child. One of them reaches in, careful hands working components with a new tension. He looks up only once, toward the path the girl walked, then back down at the machine like he's afraid it might somehow prove her wrong. It doesn't. The moment the IPR valve is cleared and reset, a pulse shoots through the system. A subtle vibration hums beneath the hood. The mechanic nearest the ignition nods. "Do it." Another tech hops into the driver's seat, turns the key. Vroom. The Humvee roars to life. Not a cough, not a stutter, no warning lights. Just a clean, deep rumble. A few mechanics actually flinch, almost like the engine startled them awake. One laughs, but it's a nervous kind, a forced chuckle to cover disbelief. "Told you it was electrical," the youngest mutters, trying to save face. No one responds. Jack Maddox doesn't move. He's still watching the space where the girl had been. His eyes are locked on the trail of dusty prints left behind by her boots. His jaw tightens slightly. That engine didn't just start, it obeyed. After 3 hours of diagnostics, adult hands, and a fully stocked tool rig, it took her, 40 seconds? Another mechanic wipes his forehead with the back of his sleeve. How did she even know what to check? No one answers, except for Jack. "She didn't guess," he says, voice low. One of them turns to him. "You know her?" Jack shakes his head slowly. "No, but I know precision when I see it." He steps away from the vehicle and starts walking the direction she went. The others exchange looks but don't follow. The engine continues to purr behind them like it never failed in the first place. Jack moves past the crates and corners. His boots kick up fine desert grit with every step. His brow furrows deeper with each footprint he follows. She isn't far. She never meant to be. Lila is sitting on a crate with her legs dangling, back turned to the chaos behind her. Her hands are busy. She's unlacing one of her boots, trying to adjust the tongue that keeps slipping. Grease smears run down her wrists. There's a stain on her cheek she hasn't noticed. Her tool belt is laid across her lap, fingers absent-mindedly spinning a socket piece. Jack slows when he sees her. She doesn't look up. "You fix engines like that often?" he says. She keeps spinning the socket. "Only when they're broken." Jack cracks a faint smile. Just a flicker. He steps closer. "You do that in your spare time?" Teaching grown men how to do their jobs. Now she looks up. Her face is calm, unbothered. They were checking sensors. That wasn't the problem. No, it wasn't. She goes back to her boot. Jack folds his arms. "How old are you?" 10. "That your dad's tool belt?" She nods. "He a mechanic here?" She shakes her head. Was. Before he got reassigned. Jack studies her more closely. Not just the coveralls. The dirt under her fingernails. The way she handles tools like they're part of her skin. She's not mimicking. She's living it. "You got a name?" he asks. She hesitates, just slightly. Lila. Lila, he repeats, testing it. You got a last name? She doesn't answer. Jack doesn't push. He just nods. You know, that vehicle's meant for deployment. If your fix hadn't worked, they'd have grounded it for a week. It worked, she says simply. He chuckles. Yeah, it did. She finishes lacing her boot and finally hops off the crate, picks up her belt and slings it over one shoulder again. As she turns, the sunlight catches something around her neck, something swaying just beneath the zipper of her coveralls. Dog tags. Jack freezes. They clink once against her chest. She doesn't seem to notice. Or maybe she's pretending not to. Either way, the moment holds. Jack stares. Something about the sound, the shape of those tags. It strikes a chord he can't shake. He takes a slow step forward. Where'd you get those? She doesn't answer right away. Her fingers move to tuck them inside her collar. Out of sight. Jack doesn't stop her. The air between them is heavier now. He's not just curious anymore. He's watching her like she's a page torn from a book he's read before, but can't quite place. You're not just some base kid, he says quietly. She shrugs. Does it matter? To them, maybe not. He nods back toward the Humvee. But it does to me. She glances past him, toward the vehicle in the distance. The mechanics are still gathered, still glancing around like they're unsure what to do next. One of them catches sight of her and quickly looks away. Jack follows her gaze. Why didn't you say something before? He asks. You could have spoken up hours ago. I wasn't asked. He frowns. You need to be. Most people think kids are wrong before we open our mouths. Her voice doesn't carry bitterness, just truth. Jack sighs, rubbing the back of his neck. You ever think go to school for this? She looks up at him again, this time with the faintest trace of something behind her eyes. Not hope, not pride, just a question she's never been asked before. Maybe. Jack nods slowly. Well, if you do, you'll be light years ahead. She gives a tiny smile, barely there, and starts to walk past him. He watches her go, boots thudding lightly in the dirt. Her tool belt swings against her hip. The sun glints off the spot where the dog tags disappeared under her collar. Jack stays still, arms folded, watching her silhouette grow smaller in the heat. He doesn't know who she is, but he knows this. You don't forget a girl like that. Not when she walks into a world built for men and fixes what none of them could. The heat buzzes like static as Lila walks. Her small frame cuts a quiet line through the haze, the hum of the revived Humvee still echoing faintly in the background. Jack watches her for a beat longer, until something in him shifts. He steps forward. Not fast, just deliberate. Hey, he calls. Lila slows but doesn't stop. You forgot something, he adds. She turns halfway. He points to her chest. Those dog tags, half tucked under her collar, glint again. Not loud, not bright, just enough. She instinctively reaches up, fingers curling around them, but Jack is already moving, closing the distance. Calm, steady. His hand reaches out, not forcefully, just enough to gesture. Can I see them? Lila's eyes search his face. She hesitates, weighing something, then slowly pulls the tags from under her coveralls and lets them fall into the open. Jack's hand doesn't move at first. His eyes scan the worn metal, the edges dulled, letters pressed deep into the steel, slightly faded from time and friction. He reads a name once, then again, and his breath catches. He reaches out and with the lightest touch, lifts them into his hand. The tags are warm from her skin. His thumb slides across the surface, tracing the lettering. Andrew Reyes. His jaw clenches. His eyes don't blink. The sun is suddenly brighter, the air thicker. That name, he knows that name. Jack's hand freezes mid-motion. Lila watches his reaction. She doesn't pull away. She doesn't say anything. Jack swallows hard. Reyes. Yeah. He lets the tags rest in his palm. Andrew Reyes. He says again, quieter. We served together. Lila nods. I know. Jack's mouth opens slightly, but no words come out. For a second, all he hears is wind. They're not standing in the dirt anymore. Not really. Jack is somewhere else. Somewhere louder. Sharper. A place of black uniforms and sun-bleached sand. The sound of rotors. Shouts. Gunfire. The last moment before silence. He blinks, returning. "You're his niece?" he asks. She nods again. "My uncle," she says softly. "He used to fix engines with me before." She stops. The sentence doesn't finish. It doesn't need to. Jack's eyes stay on hers. "I didn't know he had family this close," he murmurs. "He visited between deployments. Every time he came back, he'd bring me something broken to take apart." She almost smiles. Last time it was a drone. Jack's eyes drop to the tags again. The silence is thick, not awkward, but sacred, reverent. Lila looks down. "You don't have to hold them." But Jack shakes his head. "I remember when he wore these," he says. "Never took them off, even in the showers. He used to tap them like a reflex. Said they kept him grounded." Lila's face softens just slightly. "He gave them to me after his last tour. Said he had a new lucky charm." Jack lets out a quiet breath through his nose. Something like a laugh, but smaller, tighter. Sound like him. He hands them back carefully. Not like returning metal. Like passing on something sacred. She takes them with both hands. Fingers curl tight. She tucks them back beneath her coveralls without a word. Jack glances away for a moment. His throat tightens. "How long?" he asks. 3 years. His shoulders drop. "He didn't make it back," she adds. Voice low. "They said it was quick." Jack's jaw set again. "It wasn't just quick," he says. "It was brave. He was the kind of guy you follow into fire and come out alive." Lila nods. "He used to say you were the same." Jack's head tilts, surprised. "He talked about you a lot," she continues. "You were his favorite teammate. The calm one. The one who fixed radios with duct tape." Jack chuckles quietly, shaking his head. "That sounds like Reyes." Lila's eyes hold his for a moment. Honest. Not searching. Just present. Did he really save people? Jack looks at her, and this time, his eyes aren't distant. They're focused. Clear. He saved all of us more than once. Lila nods. Her hands fidget with a strap on her belt. "He taught me about engines," she says. "Said machines always tell the truth. That if you learn their language, they never lie." Jack looks down at her tool belt. The frayed edges. The screwdriver hanging like it belongs there. "He taught you well." Jack says. Lila shifts her weight, looking past him. "You think they'll let me come back?" "The garage, I mean." Jack follows her gaze to the motor pool, where the Humvee still idles like a heartbeat restarted. "I don't think they'll stop you now," he replies. She looks up at him again. He adds, "But if they do, you tell them you got someone in your corner." She gives him the smallest nod. Jack watches her for a beat longer, then steps back and glances at the horizon. "Reyes would have been proud," he says. "I hope so." They stand together for a few more seconds, not as a soldier and a child, not even as strangers, but as two people connected by someone they both lost and still carry. Jack clears his throat. "You got a place you stay?" "Mechanics' quarters. Dad's off post this week." Jack raises an eyebrow. "Alone?" "Not the first time." He nods slowly. "All right, just don't let them catch you tuning engines past curfew." She almost smiles. He walks with her a few steps, silent at first. Then, before they part ways, he reaches into his back pocket and pulls out a small, folded photo. Edges soft from years of being carried. It's faded, but the faces are clear. 5 men in desert gear. One of them, Reyes, grinning wide with his arms slung around a younger Jack Maddox. He hands it to her. Lila holds it gently, staring. "That was your last tour?" she asks. "Yeah." She traces her uncle's smile with a finger. Jack nods. "You keep that." She looks up at him. "Are you sure?" "Yeah." He pauses. "Your family." She presses it against her chest, where the tags rest. "Thanks." And with that, she turns and heads back toward the mechanic's shed, her shadow stretching long behind her. Jack watches, the past still heavy in his chest. But for the first time in a long while, it doesn't hurt quite the same. It echoes. Jack doesn't move for a long time. The sun has shifted higher now, sharp against the sand-blown windshields of idle vehicles. The Humvee behind him hums quietly, its once-dead engine alive and pulsing, thanks to a 10-year-old girl with grease on her cheeks and dog tags around her neck. His boots feel heavy, planted in the dust. Lila's small footsteps are long gone, but the weight she left behind presses into him like armor that no longer fits. He turns slowly and walks toward the edge of the motor pool, where a faded shipping crate offers a sliver of shade. He leans against it, lets the silence wrap around him. And then it starts. Not a sound. Not outside. Inside. The memory crashes in, fast, violent, like it's waited too long to be ignored. Flashback. Hellman Province. Night. The wind carried sand like glass. They were pinned, trapped in a dried riverbed. Shots echoing from the cliffs above. Jack huddled low with Reyes and two others. Try to jam a busted comm line back into function with stripped wires and prayer. Reyes had laughed. Asterisk, asterisk, laughed, asterisk, asterisk. Through the chaos. You keep fixing the thing like it owes you money, Maddox. Then came the shout. A cry. The explosion. The rest, a blur. But Jack remembers the way Reyes lunged without hesitation. Dragged a wounded brother toward cover. Took the fire himself. Gritted his teeth and didn't scream when the round hit his side. And when the evac came, too late by seconds, Jack was the one who zipped the bag. He had stared at Reyes' face. Peaceful in death. Peaceful in a way war never allows. And Jack had promised. Asterisk, asterisk, promised, asterisk, asterisk. He'd tell the family everything. He'd visit. He'd explain. Honor the man who gave everything. But he never did. He had gone home after that tour and packed the war into silence. Now, 3 years later, that silence has a name. A face. 10 years old. Wearing his brother's tags and speaking fluent machine like it's her native tongue. Jack presses the heel of his hand into his eye socket. The guilt carves a trench through his chest. He never sent a letter. Never knocked on their door. And yet, there she was, standing like she belonged in this world of metal and diesel and dirt, fixing what no adult could, like she'd inherited Reyes' clarity, his courage, his gift. But this isn't where she should be. She shouldn't be dodging windstorms and walking around garages full of swearing men and strip bolts. She should be in a science academy, a university robotics lab, a place where her mind isn't just respected, it's nurtured, federal, let loose. Jack stares out at the base. The noise, the order mixed with chaos. A world meant for adults who chose it. Lila didn't choose this. She was born into it, dragged into it by the absence Reyes left behind. Jack thinks about her hands, the way they moved across the engine like she was reading Braille. How she didn't just guess the issue, she knew. No hesitation, no trial and error, and not from luck, from skill. Reyes must have taught her young, sat beside her with old radios and RC trucks. Maybe took her to base garages, showed her torque, resistance, fuel flow, sensor cycles. But even so, what 10-year-old speaks like that? Points to a failing IPR valve with surgical accuracy? She's not just talented. She's extraordinary. Jack breathes deep, his eyes closed, jaw clenched. He sees Reyes again, not in the field, but off duty, sitting in their camp in Kandahar, sketching some odd contraption on the back of a ration box. What the hell is that? Jack had asked. Drone mod for Lila. She's obsessed with wiring. I promised her I'd make it silent. You're building stealth tech for a 9-year-old? Reyes had grinned. You've never met her. Jack opens his eyes. That's what haunts him most. He never met her. Never saw the little girl Reyes built drone mods for. Never shook her hand or sat across from her or asked her favorite engine model. And now, she's standing in his world, unknowingly shoving a mirror in his face. She doesn't ask for anything, doesn't beg for attention. She just shows up, does the impossible, and walks away. That kind of brilliance. Asterisk, asterisk, it gets missed. Asterisk, asterisk. If he wasn't standing there when it happened, she'd still be a nobody to this base. Just another mechanics kid lurking where she doesn't belong. Jack curses under his breath. How many more Lilas are out there? Quiet geniuses born into grief, shouldering brilliance with no one to open the door? He thinks of her again. That tiny shrug. The way she wiped grease on her arm like it was nothing. As if fixing a military vehicle was just Tuesday. Jack looks down at his hands. Scarred. Calloused. The hands of a man who's taken lives and saved them. What good are they if they can't lift up the legacy Ray has left behind? He straightens. Walks back to garage. Not fast, but with purpose. He passes Marines, engineers, staff. His gaze fixed. Something inside him has shifted. The guilt no longer just aches. It calls. Calls him to do something more than remember. Because remembrance without action is just a wound. And Reyes didn't die for silence. He died for people. For brothers. For family. For Lila. Lila sits alone on a stack of dented supply crates. Her legs crossed, boot soles marked with dried mud. The storm from earlier has calmed. But the scent of dust still lingers, clinging to every surface of the base like a memory. In her lap rests a spiral notebook, edges curled and grease-smudged. She flips a page slowly, tongue pressing her upper lip in quiet concentration. The pencil in her hand is dull, chewed at the end. What she's drawing is not art. It's architecture, gear clusters, torque flowcharts, handwritten notations, math well beyond her years, framing a schematic of a Humvee drivetrain. But not just any drivetrain. This one's disassembled and reimagined, redrawn from memory, then optimized. Jack stands a few feet away, leaning just out of view. He watches, arms folded across his chest, brow knit with something between awe and disbelief. She doesn't notice him. Her focus is total, monastic. The way her small fingers trace the pencil's line along a curved shaft diagram shows she's not guessing. She knows this engine, inside and out. Jack's boots crunch against a piece of gravel, and she looks up, startled. "Oh!" she says, blinking once. "Hi. Mind if I see that?" Jack nods toward the notebook. Lila hesitates for a moment, then shrugs. "Sure." She flips the book toward him, holding it open with both hands like it's fragile, like what's inside matters. Jack kneels beside her crate. The paper is wrinkled, torn in places, but what's written across it is clear, and miles beyond anything he's seen from someone her age. "Where'd you learn this?" he asks softly, turning the page. It's a detailed breakdown of hydraulic pressure ratios for a transmission system, labeled color-coded with faded marker. She shrugs again. From him. Jack glances up. "My uncle," she clarifies, voice soft. "Reyes. He used to bring home junk engines and teach me how to make them work again. Said machines were like puzzles. They always had a reason." Jack swallows. Hard. Lila shifts on the crate. "We didn't have much after he was gone, but the garage stayed. So I kept building." He looks at the next page. Schematics for a combustion bypass prototype. It's rough, incomplete, but the theory behind it is sound. "You designed this?" he asks. She nods. "I think I can make engines quieter. Less heat. Better for desert runs." Jack raises an eyebrow. "You're trying to eliminate thermal signature?" She smiles. "I saw a video once. Seals get spotted from drone heat maps. I thought, maybe I could fix that." Jack stares at her, speechless. "I just like to fix things that break," she adds, almost to herself. Her voice is so small, it could be blown away with a breeze. But to Jack, it echoes loud, because it's his voice, his friend's voice. Reyes, who used to say the same thing in a firefight, while rewiring a drone, or yanking apart a jammed weapon mid-mission. "I fix things that break." Jack closes the notebook slowly, handing it back. "That's not just fixing. That's invention." Lila smiles shyly. "Thanks." She starts to say more, but hesitates. Then, "They don't let me near the real stuff. Usually." Jack glances at the mechanics in the distance. They're busy again, working, laughing, but none look this way. "They think I just hang around 'cause of my dad. He runs the depot here." Jack nods. "Sometimes," she continues, I get to sort parts or organize sockets. But no one asks what I think. Only Uncle Reyes ever did. Jack stands slowly. The wind picks up again, brushing dust across the ground like tiny ghosts. You know, he says, adjusting the cuff of his sleeve, I've seen engineers twice your age freeze up in the middle of an op. You didn't. That Humvee was toast. You saved it. I just knew what was wrong. She shrugs again. That shrug, so casual, so unaware of its weight. Jack studies her a long moment. How often do you draw on that thing? Lila tilts her head. Every day, usually after chores. He's silent again. He remembers Reyes at camp, fixing a surveillance drone under a flashlight with a busted elbow, whispering to himself about balance ratios and wind noise. He sees the same spark in her now. Not just ability, but obsession. That deep, tireless fire that some people are born with. The kind that makes them chase ideas no one else understands. Do you want to do this? He asks. Like, really do this? She squints. Like a job. Jack nods. More than that. Research. Tech development. Places where people would fight to have you on their team. Lila looks down at her notebook. Fingers brushing over the corner of a page like she's not sure whether to believe him. Maybe, she says quietly. But those places don't really come looking for kids like me. That sentence cuts deep. Jack doesn't argue. Because she's right. The world doesn't come looking for brilliance, hidden in the back of dusty garages. It doesn't send scholarships to children who draw on the margins of engine manuals. It waits for a moment, asterisk, asterisk, like today, asterisk, asterisk, when that brilliance forces its way into the light. He looks at her again. This girl who speaks through wires and equations. This ghost of Reyes who walks the earth with a wrench and a notebook. Jack realizes something then. She's not just a quiet genius. She's the unfinished story of a man who gave everything. And now, maybe, just maybe, it's his turn to write the next chapter. The sun begins to dip below the ridgeline, casting long shadows across the base. The air cools, but heat still radiates off the vehicle bay's metal siding. Tools clink in the distance, and somewhere a generator hums low. Jack stands at the edge of the depot, arms folded, eyes tracking Lila as she walks between two pallets, sorting cables. Her ponytail bounces with each step. She's alone again. No one's watching. No applause. No celebration. But she moves with purpose. Behind Jack, boots crunch gravel. Colonel Anders approaches, a tall, squared-off man in desert fatigues, clipboard tucked under one arm. His silver hair glints in the light, face carved with lines earned from too many deployments. You requested backup, he asks. Jack turns slowly. Not backup. The colonel raises an eyebrow. Jack jerks his chin toward Lila. A future. The colonel follows his gaze. Sees the girl. Blinks. That the mechanic's kid? Jack nods. She the one who brought the Humvee back to life? Yeah. Colonel Anders exhales through his nose. I heard about that. Thought it was an exaggeration. It wasn't. She's what, 10? Jack nods again. 10. And 10 steps ahead of most of your tech team. Colonel Anders frowns. You want me to, what? Write her up for a medal? No, Jack says. Find out what it takes to get her noticed. A recommendation. A pipeline. Anything. She's just a kid, the colonel says. Jack's voice drops, steady. She's a 1 in a million kid. There's a silence. The kind of silence that isn't awkward, but heavy, real. Colonel Anders shifts his stance. You're serious. Jack doesn't blink. I watch her break down a gear ratio problem in 5 minutes. Something that grounded your team for 3 days. She sketched a thermal reduction schematic from memory. And she's got notebooks full of redesigns that could shave heat signatures off our convoys. Anders stares at him. I've been in the field a long time. Jack adds. You see brilliance once in a career, if you're lucky. She's got it. Doesn't flaunt it. Doesn't even know what it's worth. She's not even military, Anders replies. She shouldn't have to be. Anders looks over at Lila again. She's kneeling now, inspecting a cracked fuse casing. Her face is calm, focused. She wipes her hands on a rag hanging from her belt. Doesn't know she's being discussed. What about her family? Anders asks. Jack's voice softens. Her dad's a good man. Keeps her close. Her uncle, he was one of us. The colonel pauses. Name. Reyes. Anders goes still. Recognition flickers in his eyes. Reyes, he repeats. Reyes from Kabul? Jack nods once. Anders clears his throat. He was a genius with a drone. Fixed our entire comms rig with a multi-tool and dental floss. Died saving a convoy. Yeah, Jack says quietly. That's the one. The colonel watches the girl again. She's got his eyes. Jack doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. Anders taps the clipboard against his thigh. There's no protocol for this. I know. No application. No junior engineering program for 10-year-olds. I'm not asking for protocol. What are you asking for? Jack gestures again toward Lila. A door. Even just a crack in one. Anders is silent for a long moment. Then, you think she wants it? Jack shrugs. She's not asking. She's just building. But she needs someone to notice before the world tells her it's not her place. Another silence. This one stretches. Anders seems lost in thought. Finally, he says, I might know someone, civilian side. An early talent development team at DARPA. Usually STEM kids from private academies. But I'll make a call. Quietly. Jack gives a small nod. Quiet's fine. The colonel exhales. She'll need a guardian. Someone to speak for her. Walk her through the steps. I'll handle it. Anders eyes him. You willing to stick around? Jack doesn't answer immediately. He looks at Lila again. She's now under the nose of another Humvee. Flashlight between her teeth. Tugging on a wire harness like it's a game. Yeah, he says finally, I think I am. Anders offers a single nod of respect. I'll start the wheels turning. He turns and walks off, boots fading into the noise of the bass. Jack stays where he is. The wind picks up again, just enough to stir dust from the gravel. He walks slowly toward the depot. Lila slides out from under the vehicle, wiping her face with the sleeve of her coveralls. You're still here, she says, surprised. Yeah, Jack replies. I had to talk to someone. She nods, like she's not sure what that means, but doesn't question it. He crouches beside her, eyeing the open panel she was working on. Problem with the ground wire? She nods again. Chafed insulation, causing inconsistent spark. I'm patching it for now. Jack grins. You want help? She hesitates. You know how? He chuckles. A little. Lila moves aside, handing him a wrench. Jack slides under the chassis next to her, both of them side by side in the cooling dusk. For a while, they work in silence. Not the silence of strangers or awkwardness, but the silence of mutual understanding, of shared minds. Recognition in silence. And beneath the chassis of a machine meant for war, something rare begins to hum. The sound of a future being quietly, carefully built. The sun has dipped below the hills now, leaving only a faint bruising of orange on the horizon. Crickets begin their nightly chatter. The bass quiets down, one machine at a time, until only the occasional clank or muffled voice breaks the stillness. Jack walks along the fence line. The metal mesh stretches far in both directions, separating the compound from the sprawl of the dusty world beyond. He finds her there, Lila, sitting cross-legged near a barrel of discarded parts, hurling bolts one by one to a cluster of stray dogs. 3 of them linger a safe distance away, their eyes wary but curious. Every bolt she throws lands with a soft clink, and every clink is followed by a wag of a tail, a cautious sniff. She doesn't say a word, just watches them with that quiet focus of hers. Jack slows his steps, doesn't want to startle her. You always feed the base dogs, he asks gently. She shrugs, not looking up. They're just hungry. No one sees them. Jack crouches beside her, resting on one knee. I see them now. Lila glances at him. You're still here. He nods. Yeah. Another bolt spins through the air. Clink. Jack watches it roll near a scruffy tan mutt, who steps forward, sniffs, then retreats. They like the noise, she says. It tells them someone's listening. Jack looks at her for a moment. You always talk like that. Like what? Like someone who's been around a lot more than 10 years. She shrugs again. I just pay attention. Silence settles between them for a few beats. Then Jack clears his throat. You ever heard of the Artemis Youth Program? She turns to him slowly. No. He pulls a folded paper from the inside of his jacket, holds it up. It's a national initiative. Engineering, robotics, early mechanics, and AI. Top 5% of applicants get full mentorship, scholarships, lab access, real tools, real training. She frowns skeptical. Jack holds her gaze. It's for kids who see the world in pieces and know how to fit it back together. Lila looks back at the fence. Sounds like something for rich kids. It's not. My dad says we can't afford big things. Jack softens. You don't have to. I've got you. Lila turns to him again. Her eyes are guarded but curious. Why? Jack doesn't answer immediately. He folds the paper back, tucks it into her toolbox. Careful and deliberate. Because someone once looked out for me when I didn't ask for it, he says. Because your uncle saved my life. And because I watched you fix something 3 grown men couldn't touch. She thinks about that for a long moment. He used to say I had hands like his, she murmurs, so I could feel engines talk. Jack nods. He wasn't wrong. I don't know what I'd even do in a place like that, she admits. Build, Jack says. Solve. Make mistakes. Get better. Another pause. One of the dogs edges closer. Jack holds still. Lila does too. The bolt clinks near the mutt's feet. This time it doesn't run. It sits, tail thumping against the dirt. You think I'd pass? She asks quietly. I don't think, Jack says. I know. Lila pulls her knees to her chest, arms wrapped around them. I'd have to leave here. Jack nods. Not yet. Not overnight. There's time. A lot of steps. But you'd be moving forward. She glances at the base, the open garage, the dark silhouette of the comms tower blinking red under the night sky. Then back to him. My dad works 2 jobs. He says this is where life is. You don't get to chase stars. You fix what's broken and pray it holds. Jack lowers his voice. Maybe chasing stars is fixing things too. Just bigger things. That lands. She looks at him like she's seeing someone new. Another bolt. Another soft clink. This time, the second dog follows suit, edging him beside the first. Lila smiles, just barely, then quickly hides it. Jack doesn't push. I can't promise it's easy, he says. But I can promise I'll walk beside you if you want to try. She doesn't respond right away. Instead, she gets up, dusts off her knees, and walks to her toolbox. She lifts the lid, pulls out the folded paper, and studies it like it's a blueprint. What's the first step, she asks. Jack grins. Let's start with an introduction call. Then we'll prep your application. I'll get some friends to review your notes. Your sketches are already better than some of our recon drafts. She holds the paper to her chest for a moment. Will I still get to fix things? She asks. More than ever. She nods once. It's small but solid, not uncertain anymore. The third dog finally inches closer. She kneels and holds out her hand. The dog sniffs, then leans in, pressing its head gently into her palm. Jack watches the connection. You've got away with machines and strays, he says softly. I just don't like when things are broken, she replies. Jack stands. Neither do I. They walk back toward the base in silence, side by side, her hands smudged with grease and dog fur, his pocket lighter now that the papers found the right hands. Behind them, the dogs follow. The morning comes quietly. No reveille. No shouted orders. Just a hum of early sun warming steel. The metallic clink of a lone wrench echoing in the still air. Lila is back into the Humvee. This time, not because it's broken, because she wants to understand how it works when it isn't. Her fingers move carefully, tracing bolts, drawing diagrams in chalk on the floor beside her. Her notebook is open. Half-filled pages flutter with a breeze that smells of diesel and dry earth. Jack watches from a distance. He doesn't interrupt, just observes the way she studies, The way she disappears into gears like she's reading a story only she can hear. It reminds him of her uncle. The same quiet intensity. The same reverence for the machine. Eventually, she crawls out, cheeks streaked with oil, hair stuck to her forehead. She wipes her hands on her coveralls and notices him. "You always watch people like that?" she asks, squinting at the sun. "Only when they're doing something incredible," he says. She raises an eyebrow. "I was just looking at a crankshaft." He smiles. "Exactly." He steps forward, hand behind his back, expression unreadable. "I've got something for you," he says. She tilts her head. "More paperwork." "No." He holds out a small velvet pouch. Nothing fancy, worn at the edges. He places it gently into her hand. "What is it?" "Open it." She does cautiously. Fingers dip into the pouch and pull out a tarnished metal. Silver, stamped with the seal insignia. Simple, weighty, real. Lila stares at it. "What is this?" she whispers. Jack takes a slow breath. "Your uncle was recommended for it. It was awarded posthumously, but it never made it to your family. Things fell through the cracks. Happens more often than you'd think." She doesn't say anything. Her thumb runs across the metal's edge. "I kept it," Jack continues, "for years. Told myself I'd deliver it when I was ready. But I wasn't. I was angry. At myself. At the world. At the way he died. So I let it sit in a box." He looks at her now. Clear. Steady. "But yesterday, I watched you do something I've never seen before. And I knew this doesn't belong in a drawer." Lila clutches the metal tighter, like it might vanish. Jack lowers his voice. "You earned this. Maybe not the way he did, but you did. You stepped in when no one else could. You saw something the rest of us missed. You honored his legacy." Tears well in her eyes before she can stop them. She turns away, blinking fast, swallowing hard. Jack doesn't move, doesn't speak. She finally turns back to him, voice soft, shaking just a little. "I didn't know he was getting a medal. Most people didn't." She nods slowly, staring at it in her hand again. Then, instinctively, she pulls the dog tags from beneath her shirt and places the medal beside them, holding both at once. "I used to wear these for him," she says, "to feel brave." Jack kneels so they're eye to eye. "You don't need to wear anything to be brave," he says. "But that doesn't mean he's not with you. Every time you pick up a wrench, every time you trust what you see, he's there." A single tear slips down her cheek. "I miss him," she whispers. "I know." She doesn't try to wipe it away. She just holds the metal close to her chest and breathes. Behind them, a few base crew pass by, slowing for a moment to glance their way. No one interrupts. Jack stands again, brushes off his knees. "Your dad know you're out here?" he asks. She nods. "He's finishing his shift in the hangar. Said I could stay till lunch." Jack smiles. "Tell him I'll walk you back when you're ready." She offers a faint smile in return, then looks at the medal once more. Was he scared? "My uncle." Jack hesitates, then answers with careful honesty. "Yeah, we all were, but he never let it stop him, and when it mattered, he ran toward the fire." Lila holds that in silence. Then, without being told, she pulls the medal's ribbon gently around her neck, slipping it over her head. It settles beside the dog tags. Heavy but right. Jack watches her, this small girl with grease-streaked cheeks, hair in knots, tools at her belt, and more heart than anyone he's ever known. He doesn't speak. He doesn't have to. She walks back to the Humvee, runs her hand along the edge of the hood. "Think you'd be proud?" she asks, barely above a whisper. Jack's voice is steady. "I think he already was." A long beat of quiet. Lila crouches again, reaches into her toolbox, and pulls out her wrench. It's older than her. Maybe once belonged to her uncle. The metal is worn smooth from years of use. She tightens it in her hand. Not like she's fixing anything. Like she's remembering. "I'm gonna keep getting better," she says. Jack nods. "You will? And I'm gonna learn how everything works. Not just cars. Planes. Drones. Maybe rockets." You should, he says. She grins. Then I'm gonna build something big. Something important. Jack's smile grows. You already have. She stands there for a long while, wrench in one hand, metal on her chest, watching the light shift across the vehicle. Something about her posture changes. Taller, rooted, ready. Jack turns to go, giving her space. But before he's more than a few paces away, she calls after him. Hey! He stops. Thanks for seeing me. Jack doesn't turn around, just raises a hand in acknowledgement. Anytime, kid. And then the wind picks up again, tugging at the corner of her notebook, rustling the pages like wings. The Humvee kicks up a trail of red dust as it rumbles away from the outpost, shrinking into the heat haze of the road beyond. Lila stands at the chain-link gate, one hand resting against the metal, her oversized coveralls rippling in the dry wind. She doesn't wave, just watches. Jack is in the passenger seat. He doesn't look back either, but she knows he wanted to. There was something about the way he climbed into the Humvee, like part of him wasn't ready to go, like maybe this outpost, this girl, had shifted something he thought was long set in stone. The engine fades into the distance. Silence returns. Lila adjusts the metal around her neck. It clinks softly against the dog tags, both of them warm from the sun. She presses a hand over them, anchoring them to her chest. A quiet promise she doesn't speak aloud. Behind her, the sound of tools clanging resumes from the garage bay. Her dad's voice carries faintly over the din, yelling something about an overdue fuel pump. Life goes on, but something's different now, and she feels it. Days pass. A week, maybe more. The sky doesn't change much. Always pale and wide. Always humming with heat. Lila returns to her spot by the crate every afternoon, sketching, tinkering, fixing whatever's broken or nearly so. She doesn't expect anything. Not really. Then, on a Thursday morning, while sorting a tray of stripped bolts, a shadow falls across her notebook. A soldier holds out an envelope. Lila Rowan? She nods, wiping her hands on her coveralls. This came through base mail. Said delivered directly. The envelope is official. Heavy paper, navy seal embossed in the corner. Her name typed neatly. No return address. Her heart thumps once. Hard. She opens it with trembling fingers, careful not to tear it. There's a single folded sheet inside. No extras. No fluff. She reads it once. Then again. Then she screams. The sound echoes through the shop, bay like a siren. Her father drops a wrench. A mechanic curses and ducks, thinking something's exploded. But Lila just stands there, laughing and screaming, and crying all at once, waving the letter in the air. Her dad rushes over, panic in his eyes. What? What happened? Are you hurt? She shoves the letter into his hands. Read it, she gasps. He does, slowly, eyebrows rising line by line. Dear Miss Rowan, it is with great pride that we offer you a full academic scholarship to the Artemis Youth Program, including summer mentorship and placement in the Pacific Tech Robotics Internship Initiative. Your recommendation came directly from Lieutenant Jack Maddox, U.S. Navy SEAL. He says, you're not just exceptional, you're revolutionary. We agree. Dr. Elise Navarro, Director of Admissions. Her dad reads it again, then just stares at her. You got in, he whispers. I got everything, she says, eyes wide, voice cracking. It's all paid. The labs, the classes, everything. He drops the letter and pulls her into a tight hug, wrench grease and all. In the corner, one of the old mechanics claps slowly, then faster. Soon, the whole shop is whooping and hollering like she just won the Super Bowl. Lila breaks from a hug and holds the letter high. Her fingers still tremble, but she doesn't care. I didn't even apply, she shouts, half laughing, half disbelieving. He did this. Jack did this. Her father smiles, overwhelmed. Looks like that seal's got a good eye. She turns in a slow circle, like the whole dusty shop has become a stadium. I'm going to build robots, she says out loud, to no one in particular. I'm going to learn how to design propulsion systems and adaptive gear mods and AI-integrated diagnostics. One of the techs raises an eyebrow. You going to remember us when you're famous? Lila smirks. You're the ones who let me take apart the toaster engine. They all laugh. Later that night, Lila sits on her bed in the little trailer behind the garage. The metal and tags hang from a hook near the window. The letter is spread across her desk. Corners smooth flat. She reads it again just to make sure it's real. There's a postscript on the back, handwritten in pen. *P.S. Tell your dad to stop letting you fix military-grade carburetors without safety gloves. You're too valuable now. Jack, *. She grins. She pulls out her notebook and flips to a blank page. At the top, she writes in blocky, determined letters. Project 01, solar stabilized engine mod. She draws for an hour. Diagrams, annotations, formulae she half invented but somehow makes sense. She doesn't know how long she's been sketching when a knock hits the trailer door. It's her dad, holding 2 mugs of hot chocolate. He hands her one and sits beside her on the edge of the bed. You ready for this? He asks. Nope, she says honestly. Then after a beat, but I want to be... He smiles and clinks mugs with her. You're gonna do great, baby girl. She stares out the small window as the moon rises over the lot. For the first time, the sky doesn't feel too big. Tomorrow, she'll write a letter back. She'll thank Jack. She'll tell him about her first design. Maybe send a copy. But tonight, she just lets the quiet in. Not an ending, just a new ignition. The gates to the military tech campuses open with a soft hydraulic sigh. Beyond them, glass towers gleam under a morning sun, humming with energy. Engineers and cadets in smart uniforms crisscross the polished walkways, tablets in hand, ideas spilling out of labs and minds alike. Lila walks through them, tall now, 17, still lean, still grease beneath her nails. She keeps it that way. Her stride is confident but unshowy. There's no parade around her, no escort, just her shadow stretching long behind her, and a small team of engineers follow in her wake, all older than her, some twice her age. Her coveralls are now custom cut, dark blue with the Artemis Youth Program insignia stitched neatly over the chest. The badge below it reads, L. Rowan, Lead Innovator, Mobility Systems Division. At her hip hangs a worn wrench, dull with use, and the same old set of dog tags that have never left her side. The tags clink quietly when she walks, less of a jingle now, more of a rhythm, a heartbeat. As she approaches a main research building, a lobby technician glances up and gives a respectful nod. Morning, Miss Rowan. Morning, she replies, warm but focused. Labs prepped. Dr. Shin said the schematics were finalized at 5 a.m. Lila smiles. Good. Let's shake the dust off the century. Her team laughs softly behind her, but they keep pace. Inside, the building opens like a cathedral. Vaulted ceilings, light filtering through translucent panels, the low-hum machines at rest but ready. She walks past the main atrium wall where a dozen framed newspaper and magazine clippings hang in a precise grid. The top left frame is faded slightly now. The paper aged but preserved. She always sees it, never lingers, but always looks. 10-year-old girl who fixed a Navy SEAL's engine, now redefining military robotics. There's a black and white photo beside it. A little girl in oversized boots, tool belt slung awkwardly across her shoulder, staring down an open Humvee like it owed her an apology. She remembers that day like it happened yesterday. Jack Maddox. His name doesn't appear in the article. He wouldn't let it. Said it wasn't about him. But that photo, that moment, it was him. Without Jack, there's no Artemis program for her. No scholarship. No labs. No chance to show the world what was locked inside her. The team turns left at the intersection, but Lila pauses just a second longer. She touches a glass over the article. 2 fingers light against it, like brushing dust off a memory. Then she moves on. The lab doors part with a quiet hiss. Tables buzz with activated consoles. Mechanical arms stretch and flex in calibration cycles, and holographic blueprints hover midair above each workstation. Lila steps to the center table and lays out her schematic notebook. Not digital. She still sketches by hand. The team gathers around her. No one speaks until she starts. She flips open today's design, a self-correcting all-terrain modular drivetrain for tactical field vehicles. Lightweight, solar integrated, resilient under high-impact stress. I want first assembly by noon, she says, pointing to the core modules. Thermal shielding is still spiking on the left side rotor. We're patching that before trial 1. Milo, you're on fail-safe triggers. Serena, realign the gyroscopic ring to compensate for reverse torsion. Heads nod. Notes fly on the tablets. Then Milo asks, think it'll actually run on first ignition? Lila grins, tight and sly. They always run. As the team scatters to work, she stays a moment longer at the table, watching the pieces come together in her head. Not magic, not genius, just hours, years, grease and mistakes and notebook sketches. And one man who saw her before anyone else did. When lunch comes, she skips it. She returns to the atrium, alone this time. She stands in front of the article again, reading it slowly, not for content. She knows every word, but to feel it, to feel that beginning. The frame caption at the bottom catches her eye. Like always, she found what the experts missed. One sentence, one fix, one girl with a wrench. Her fingers drift to the tags on her hip, still engraved, still sharp. Rowan M. SEAL Team 9. O+/ no preference. She'd memorized the numbers, the date of death. She'd stopped crying on his birthday 2 years ago. Now she honors him differently. By building, by leading, by being impossible to ignore. A pair of visitors enter the atrium, chatting with a PR escort. One of them stops short when he sees the article. Is that the same Lila Rowan? He asks. The escort nods. She runs one of our top divisions now. Started here when she was 10. Crazy story. Lila doesn't correct them, doesn't step in. She just listens a moment longer, then slips back to the lab doors unnoticed. The wrench taps her leg as she walks. Later that evening, after the trial runs are logged and the notes are filed, she stays behind in the lab. Everyone else is gone. Just her and the quiet hum of standby power. She lifts a circuit board with tweezers, inspecting a burn mark. She smiles to herself. Still breaks. Still gets fixed. She turns off the lights one by one, walking past the glass doors. Outside, the world glows electric. Drones zip quietly in the upper airspace. Solar panels blink green across rooftops. A future humming along. And right at its heart, a girl with dog tags and a wrench. Not a mechanic's daughter. Not a miracle. Just someone who saw a broken thing and chose to fix it. What was your favorite moment in this story? Was it when a little girl stunned a team of soldiers with just one sentence? Or when she walked through those glass doors years later? Leading the future? Let us know in the comments.